folks, I'm Vasel here. Welcome to Best of Publishers, where we take a look at different publishers and tell you my favorite games. Today we're going to talk about Ystari. Now, Ystari Games, I first realized that they were a new company when I saw their first game, which was Ys, Y-S. Now, this started a trend with Ystari of them putting Y and S into the title of all their games. Now, as the years have gone by, they have released games that do not have a Y and an S in them, but I guess it was just a thing at the time, and so Ys was kind of that opening salvo. Their games are mostly Euro-style games, and they have some very, very popular, famous ones. Let's get to my 10 favorite. Number 10 is Asteroids. Asteroids is a kind of a programming game. There's several programming games out there as you're moving around and flying around with the asteroids, but this one was a little bit more forgiving than other ones and kind of silly fun, and also, flying these ships around trying not to smash into the asteroids. I enjoyed that a lot. Number 9 is Spirium. Spirium came out a few years ago where you were placing things between cards. This is one thing that Ystari does really well, is where they have a small game, but in that small game, it's a pretty big package, and that's how Spirium felt as you were kind of trying to figure out where to place and try to control cards and win cards over and then get these cards and do different things with them. It's a very good game. Number 8 is Ys. I mentioned this one. This was the first one I saw. Ys brought semi-blind bidding into a game. You were trying to get gems and stuff and use them for points, but you did so with these tokens, and some you were placing face down, so people weren't sure how much you were bidding on something, and some you placed face up. And I like that. Blind bidding is always a little bit dangerous because you're never sure who put what where. But here you have half the information and putting them on a grid and changing the price of the gems. Some really cool concepts. This game is one that it's like a forgotten gem. You should check it out. Number 7 is Prosperity. This is one that was, I think, co-designed by Rainer Knizia. As you are basically powering up a town, getting tiles, auctioning off for these tiles, getting these tiles, building them there, getting the energy to be able to run them. Almost like a little machine engine style game, Prosperity. Number 6 is Myrms. Myrms is a game that's based on ants. It's a worker placement game as you build this ant colony, sending these ants out to collect things that you want, trying to get more ants. You get soldier ants and worker ants. There's a lot of good ant games out there. I don't know if this one is the best, but this one is this one is probably the heaviest in that category. A lot going on in Myrms. Number 5 is Starfighter. Starfighter is a 2-player game, which is really fascinating as you're playing these cards out and moving your Starfighter left and right, trying to have your ships attack the person in your opponent's comm ships and blow them up and score points that way. And it's a really cool concept for a 2-player game. I really like it. Starfighter. Number 4 is Caelus. Now, Caelus is one that people will be like, it's not your number 1. Well, guess what? Ispahan's not even on the list. But Caelus is a great game. It really is. It's one of the heaviest games that's come out. It's the father of many of the Euro games now. I'm not sure it's aged as well as some other games, but definitely where you are sitting here building a castle and slowly adding buildings that are my buildings, and people need to use those buildings, but I get benefits from them using the buildings. That's a good concept. We've seen that happen in a lot of other games like Lords of Waterdeep. Caelus is the first one to do it. Also has that Provost, which is one of the most hated pieces in gaming because it may not even allow your buildings to work on any given turn. The buildings get cooler and bigger as time goes by. Certainly a great game, Caelus. My number 3 from Ystari is Witness. Can I get one? The Witness is a very unique and intriguing game. It's still my collection for that reason, in which it takes Whisper Down the Alley and mixes it with Deduction. It is an exactly 4-player game where you're sitting near each person has a book. They know some information. You will whisper that information to the person next to you, who then has to whisper that information to another person. And then when you're all done, you all will hear some questions, use the information you've gotten and written down, answering those questions, and see then if you guys win the game or not, and you probably won't. But it is a fantastic game, Witness. Number 2 is Micarinos. This is the ultimate small, tiny game with a barely there theme that really is excellent. It's as players are going out and exploring, getting Egyptian artifacts and putting them in a museum, and it's just a bunch of cubes and tiles essentially, but putting them in the right spot, getting the right archaeologists to help you When you play this, you're like, oh, it's like filler. It's not very long, 30 minutes. But wow, when you're done, you're like, wow, that was a game. Game to weight ratio, one of the best out there. That is, Micarinos. And my favorite game currently from Ystari is Shakespeare. Shakespeare is a game about, putting on Shakespearean plays, and so you need to get different actors in your plays, worker placement to some degree, trying to figure out the right, it's card play as you are trying to get the right actors and make sure they're wearing the right things and having them put on the right play. I love the theming and concept of the game. I think the theme is actually pretty strong, and it doesn't feel too heavy, the game either, and you're trying to do different things based on what the other players are doing and trying to get the right cards. Excellent little game, Shakespeare. So those are my favorite games from Ystari. Let me know what yours are in the comments below. Ystari games are brought to America usually by Asmodee, so that's a good way to find them here. And some of these games are still available. Some of them, though, are forgotten. And there are some, I'm sure, from this company that I have not mentioned that you are like, what? Well, say it in the comments. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. This has been Best of Ystari.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.